The gunshot echoed across the Zimbabwean savannah, a harsh, heavy sound like thunder, tearing through the silence of the wild. A massive elephant, a living symbol of strength and pride, collapsed, its enormous body shuddering one last time before lying still. Dark red blood spread from the wound, soaking the dry earth, its large eyes reflecting unbearable pain and despair. From a distant corner of the world, a conservationist screamed in rage and helplessness, "This is the apocalypse for nature, an unforgivable crime." But right there, amidst the lingering gunsmoke, a Zimbabwean official responded, his voice as cold as steel, "If we don't kill them, we will die." The opposition exploded instantly, like two sharp blades clashing and sparking. An international activist, eyes red with fury, condemned without mercy. Killing elephants is barbaric, an indelible stain on human history. These majestic creatures deserve protection, not slaughter. But from the local people, a father stood. Amid the ruins of his shattered home, his face etched with deep pain, his voice trembling but resolute. "Barbaric? Come here and see the elephants trampling my house, taking my child's life. Then open your mouth to judge." In that moment, two worlds collided, one side pleading for nature, the other weeping for human survival. What lies behind that gunshot? Cruelty or desperation? Conservation or survival? This war is not just about elephants and guns. It's a profound tragedy where the line between right and wrong blurs in the dust and blood. What has driven them to this merciless confrontation? Let's dig deeper to find the answer. Ecological disaster. Elephants, destroyers or victims? Zimbabwe is being invaded by elephants. With 100,000 elephants crowded on this barren land, they are no longer symbols of the wild, but have become a nightmare tearing the ecosystem apart from its roots. These giant creatures, once praised as treasures of the green forest, are now an unforgiving army of destruction, roaring amidst the fragments of a dying nature. Every swing of their trunks, every heavy step is a fatal stab into the heart of an already exhausted land. Look at the disaster they leave behind. Trees mercilessly wiped out, once shady forests, now pitiful ruins. Green pastures where the footsteps of deer and the mighty roars of leopards once echoed have turned into dead deserts, a barren land covered in dust and despair. Elephants, with their terrifying strength and insatiable hunger, not only devour the grass but also strip the bark, topple young saplings, and destroy all life in their path. Thousands of hectares of forest are flattened daily, and each fallen tree is a cry for help from a suffocating ecosystem. The other victims of this rage are none other than the animals that once lived peacefully with elephants. Deer with wide, terrified eyes wander on land without a blade of grass to graze. Leopards, the proud predators of the night, now gaunt and starving, silently watch their territory being ravaged by elephants without mercy. They have no place to hunt, no trees to hide in, all taken by the elephants, leaving behind a land of death and desolation. Elephants not only destroy the environment, but also push other creatures towards extinction. The numbers are an undeniable warning. Hwange National Park, one of Zimbabwe's largest reserves, can only sustain a maximum of 15,000 elephants. But currently, over 50,000 are crammed into that limited space, an ecological time bomb waiting to explode. This terrifying density far exceeds nature's recovery capacity. The land is plowed to exhaustion, water sources are drying up, and life is being choked day by day. When this bomb detonates, it will not only sweep away the elephants, but also drag Zimbabwe's fragile ecosystem into an abyss with no way out. So, what are elephants in this tragedy? Are they unstoppable destroyers or victims of a world that no longer has room for them? We cannot deny their role in this destruction, but are they truly to blame? Or have humans pushed them into this dead end? The question hangs in the air, tormenting, waiting for an answer in the next chapters of this story. Human-elephant war, human blood or elephant blood? John Mudenda, a gaunt Zimbabwean farmer with calloused hands, stood silently beside the ruins that were once his home. He clutched a tiny pair of shoes, the only remnant of his 6-year-old son. His voice choked, tears streaming down his weathered. "Zahida came back from the fields and it was all a nightmare. I found my son trampled by an elephant. Only these shoes were left. He gripped the shoes as if they were the last warmth of his lost child. The next day, without hesitation, John picked up a gun and joined the village's elephant hunting team. "I can't let them take another life," he said, his voice hard as stone, his eyes burning with hatred. John's story is not an isolated case. In Zimbabwe, elephants are not just the gentle giants of storybooks. They are a living threat, silent, destroyers of poor villages. In just the first 4 months of 2025, 18 people were killed under the feet of these giant elephants, and hundreds of acres of crops were destroyed. For the people here, elephants are not symbols of nature to be protected. They are sworn enemies. "I used to love them," John admitted. "But when they killed my child, everything changed. This is war, human blood or elephant blood, only one side will survive." But on the other side of the battle line, conservationists see the issue entirely differently. A renowned conservationist, with a passionate voice at an international conference, asserted, "Humans are the ones invading the elephants' territory. We cut down forests, seize land, push them into cramped spaces. Don't turn elephants into enemies. They are just trying to survive like us." His words echoed, full of ideals, but for people like John, they were nothing more than a breeze, unable to soothe the pain of loss. An official from Zimparks, Zimbabwe's wildlife management agency, retorted with equal fierceness. "Territory? Tell that to the children trampled by elephants, to the mothers wailing beside their children's bodies. When elephants charge into villages, smashing homes, no one has time to ask who invaded whom. It's just life or death." He slammed his hand on the table, his voice trembling with anger. "We don't want to kill elephants, but if we don't, they will kill us. This isn't theory. This is reality. This war has no end. On one side are the defenders of nature with lofty ideals. On the other are the people facing death daily. Human blood or elephant blood? The question hangs, with no one daring to answer definitively. Elephant meat on the table. Famine relief or sacrilege? Under the scorching sun of rural Zimbabwe, hundreds of people lined up, holding knives and plastic buckets, waiting patiently. Sweat dripped down their tired faces, but their eyes shone with a glimmer of hope. They were not waiting for aid from the United Nations or any charity. They were waiting to receive elephant meat. A giant elephant had just been shot, and its carcass lay there amidst the crowd, like an unwilling source of life. A mother, with her gaunt child clinging to her side, said in a hoarse voice, "I don't care if it's elephant or cow. My child needs to eat. Without this meat, we will starve." The child looked at his mother, his eyes sunken from hunger, not understanding that the meat to come once belonged to a majestic creature. This scene is not rare in Zimbabwe, where drought and poverty have driven millions into a dead end. In 2024, the worst drought in decades led to crop failures and mass livestock deaths. Elephant meat for the people here is not a symbol of barbarism or sin. It is the last source of protein, a lifeline amidst despair. "We don't want to eat elephants," a man in line said, "but when your stomach is growling with hunger, you'll do anything to survive." However, from the distant west, the animal rights organization PETA fiercely condemned. Turning elephants into meals is the ultimate insult to these noble creatures. Elephants are symbols of wisdom and strength, not food for humans. Their statement spread across international newspapers, accompanied by photos of butchered elephants, like an uncompromising accusation. For PETA, this act is not just killing, it is sacrilege, an indelible stain on humanity's conscience. But the people of Zimbabwe did not remain silent. A woman, clutching the package of elephant meat she had just received, retorted with fiery eyes, "Noble? Give us money, give us food, then we'll stop eating elephants. But when you sit in your luxurious offices and condemn us, do you know that tonight my child will go to bed with an empty stomach?" Her voice trembled with anger and helplessness. For them, morality is a luxury only the well-fed can afford to discuss. Elephant meat on the table is not just a story about food. It is a symbol of survival, of the harsh choices humans face when there is no way out. Famine relief or sacrilege? No one can judge because every swallowed piece of meat carries both life and pain. Alternative solution: relocating elephants, dream or farce? Amid the life and death debate over killing elephants in Zimbabwe, an idea was launched like a beacon in a storm: relocating elephants to Mozambique. In theory, this was the perfect remedy, saving elephants from the butcher's knife, easing the strain on Zimbabwe's groaning ecosystem, and donning a cloak of humanity in the eyes of the world. International conservationists cheered, "This is the future, no blood, no killing." But when the light of idealism shone on reality, the cracks became clear, turning the dream into a bitter farce. Relocating elephants to Mozambique? Sounds great, until you know the cost. A Zimbabwean ecologist sneered, his voice dripping with bitterness like a sour pill. Each elephant needs $50,000 for safe transport, from helicopters, trucks to sedatives. We have tens of thousands of elephants. Do the math, billions of dollars. Who will pay that? Our government, with its empty coffers, or the foreigners who only know how to type on keyboards and condemn? He shook his head, his hands trembling with helplessness. But money is just the surface. Mozambique, the neighboring country with vast potential space, did not welcome them with open arms. A Mozambican official sighed in a closed meeting. "We don't want more elephants. We're already overwhelmed with our own." Every year they destroy crops, trample people. Adding elephants from Zimbabwe is like pouring oil on fire. This blunt refusal was like a bucket of cold water extinguishing the faint hope of the dreamers. Nevertheless, international conservationists refused to yield. One of them, with eyes blazing with idealism, roared at a conference, "Use that money to build fences, educate the people on how to live with elephants. Don't choose the easy path of killing. Invest in the future, not in death." His words echoed, full of conviction, but only in luxurious halls, thousands of miles from the harsh reality. A Zimbabwean economist, with a face as cold as steel, retorted mercilessly, "Fences? Do you know the cost of building and maintaining a fence strong enough to stop elephants? Millions of dollars a year. Not to mention elephants can tear it down in one night. The damage caused by elephants to farmers already amounts to $10 million a year. Crops devastated, homes destroyed, lives lost. Who will pay for that fence? And education. When an elephant tramples your child, destroys your family's livelihood, no lesson can soothe that pain." He paused, his voice lowering like a warning. "We don't have time for fanciful ideas. Every day elephants continue to ravage, and we continue to pay the price." The idea of relocating elephants, though beautiful on paper, quickly evaporated in the face of harsh reality. No country wanted to take them, no budget was large enough to implement it, and the people of Zimbabwe could not wait any longer. The dream of saving elephants became a farce, a costly farce where the price to pay was the lives of both humans and elephants. The world outraged. Zimbabwe, villain or desperate? When news of the elephant killings in Zimbabwe spread globally, the world erupted in fury. WWF, the planet's most prestigious conservation organization, did not hesitate to call it an organized massacre, an accusation as heavy as a sledgehammer. Western countries, from the UK, France to the US, unanimously condemned, threatening economic sanctions on Zimbabwe. "Zimbabwe is the enemy of nature," an environmental activist shouted on television, holding up a photo of a dead elephant in a pool of blood, his eyes red with rage. Major newspapers like the BBC and CNN competed to publish scathing articles, painting Zimbabwe as a barbarian, ready to trample the Earth's greatest creatures. But in Zimbabwe, the reaction was not to bow in remorse, it was a blaze of fury. A senior Zimparks official, his face deeply lined with fatigue, roared at a press conference. "They sit in air-conditioned offices sipping coffee and judging us? Come here, live among the elephants, see them destroy villages, trample people, then open your mouths." He slammed his hand on the table, the sound echoing like thunder, his eyes blazing as if to burn every criticism. "We are not villains. We are the desperate cornered. While you sleep soundly in your luxurious apartments, we have to stand guard every night with spears and guns to protect our families. Don't lecture us on humanity when you know nothing of our pain." This confrontation was not just words. It was a clash between two distant worlds. One side held lofty ideals from afar, nurtured by people who had never smelled the scorched earth or heard the cries of those who lost their homes to elephants. The other side faced brutal reality, where every decision was a matter of life and death. The world saw Zimbabwe as a cold-blooded killer, but Zimbabweans looked back with eyes full of resentment. They don't understand, and they never will. However, an unexpected perspective quietly emerged from Botswana, a neighboring country also buckling under the weight of a massive elephant population. In a private interview, a Botswanan official whispered, his voice full of concern, "We understand. Zimbabwe, we might have to do the same soon. Our elephants number over 130,000, too many, too dangerous. We have no more land, no more resources to contain them." He looked down, his hands clenched as if suppressing emotion. The world can judge, but when you stand on the line between life and death, you see that no choice is truly right. The world's outrage continued, but for Zimbabwe, this was not a story of villains or heroes. It was a story of survival, where every step was stained with blood and tears, and no one was truly freed. Part 7. The harsh choice. Kill the elephants or kill ourselves. Zimbabwe did not choose blood. They were forced into a corner where every step was the line between life and death. Without killing elephants, their ecosystem would collapse like a house swept away by a storm. Forests mercilessly destroyed, dry lands turning into deserts, and the lives of thousands of other species choked in silence. Without killing elephants, people would starve, their fields trampled, their last food sources vanishing in the dust. Without killing elephants, innocent children would continue to fall victim under the giant feet of creatures they could not control, and mothers' cries would echo forever in the darkness. But no matter which path they chose, the world would still criticize, still raise the flag of morality to judge, while they themselves did not endure that pain. Zimbabwe had no choice. They had only desperation and a cold gun in their hands. Imagine hundreds of elephants roaming exhausted fields, destroying everything the people had sweated to build. Villages in ruins, families losing loved ones, and children's empty eyes devoid of hope. Without action, Zimbabwe would dig its own grave. But killing elephants, symbols of the wild, was a stab into the heart of humanity. They were caught between two blades, one side their own survival, the other the contemptuous gaze of the outside world. Every choice led to blood, led to suffering. Is there a solution without bloodshed? Or are we just delaying the death of both elephants and people? This question has no easy answer. Relocating elephants? A distant idea when no country is willing to open its arms. And the enormous cost far exceeds the capacity of a country writhing in hardship. Building fences? A naive dream when millions of dollars in damage pile up each year. Educating communities to live with elephants? No teaching can soothe the pain of a father who lost his child, of a mother holding her trampled baby's body. The harsh reality is clear. There is no flawless escape. Each passing day, the lives of both elephants and people are only prolonged. A little longer before all fall into the abyss. And then, the gunshot rang out again in Hwange. A dry, cold sound like a fateful slash. Another elephant fell, its massive body collapsing to the ground, dark red blood spreading on the dry sand. The world turned its back, raised its hands in condemnation, screaming about cruelty. But Zimbabwe turned its face toward survival. They had no way back. For them, each shot was not just the death of an elephant, but the next breath of their nation. Elephant blood flowed, but it was the price they had to pay to stop human blood from spilling further. In desperation, they chose to stand, though their hands trembled and their hearts bled. This story has no happy ending. It is a blood-soaked tragedy where no one truly wins, and every decision leaves an unhealable scar. But in that harshness, perhaps we are forced to face a larger question. When nature and humans are pushed into opposition, who will be the last survivor? And is the price of that survival worth it? What do you think about Zimbabwe's harsh choice? Is there a way to save both elephants and people? Or are they truly backed into a corner? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to, explore more profound stories about the animal world and controversial conservation issues, don't forget to subscribe to the Animal Kisa channel today.